Good evening. I'm Theresa and this is Forum Daily for Tuesday, November 12th. With a federal by-election called for the BC riding of Cloverdale-Langley City, pressure is mounting on Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party. The by-election follows the resignation of former Liberal MP John Aldag, and the riding has swung back and forth between the Liberals and Conservatives. Liberal strategist Andrew Perez joined us to explain what is at stake in this by-election.
This seat is seesawed between the Liberals and the Conservatives since 2015. The Liberals won it in 2015. They lost it to the Conservatives by a small margin in 2019, and then they regained it in 2021, again by a small margin. Given that the party is lagging in public opinion polling by about 20 points, it's extremely unlikely that the Trudeau Liberals will hold this seat. And at the same time, it's doubtful that the loss of a third Liberal-held seat will change the Prime Minister's thinking around staying or leaving. I think that in recent weeks, the Prime Minister has been very clear that he intends to remain as Prime Minister and leader of the Liberal Party of Canada and lead the party into a fourth consecutive election. And regardless of what happens across the board, the loss of very safe Liberal seats over the summer months, consistent public opinion polling that is very poor for the party. Regardless of what happens, the Prime Minister is intent on staying. And so I really don't see this by-election result, which will very likely be a loss for the Liberals, changing the Prime Minister's calculation. Well, I think if you look at Canadian history, prime ministers rarely, if ever, resign voluntarily. At the end of the day, these are jobs that go to intensely competitive people that have spent the better part of their lives preparing themselves to run for the job. And so it's, in a sense, unsurprising that the prime minister is intent on sticking around. I think where the trouble lies is that it's very clear that it is Mr. Trudeau's brand, personal brand, that is weighing down the Liberal Party at this time. Winning a fourth consecutive election would be a very tall order in normal times, and it would still be a real challenge for a new leader. But I do think that the party would fare better under a new leader because at this point, while the Liberal brand may be unpopular, I still think the party brand is still intact. I think where the party is really struggling is around the Justin Trudeau brand. And a lot of traditional Liberal voters we're seeing have already left the party and are looking at other options. And so I do think that a new leader would help improve the party's fortunes. But I think it's important to remember that the timeline for a leadership succession plan is rapidly running out. I would say that if Trudeau does not resign by Christmas, there will not be adequate time for the party to orchestrate a leadership race, allow that new leader to be put in place to put their own personal stamp on the party, and get ready for an imminent election. Remember, we are slated for an election no later than October 2025. And with the ending of the supply and confidence agreement between the NDP and the Liberals, we could be plunged into an election at any time. So I think the timeline further complicates this situation and actually strengthens Mr. Trudeau's grip on the party.